So, I just want to make sure everybody can see. Is it on? Okay, yes. Hello again. My name is Karen Salmansohn, and everybody always mangles my last name. They always go, Karen Salmansohn, Salmansohn, Salmansohn. So I'm always going, not salmon, not salmon, not salmon. So when it came time for me to create my website, I decided to make it notsalmon.com so people can find me. And I say that because it's relevant to our talk today. I'm going to be talking to you about how fun is a high-performance fuel. And it was sort of, I looked at this problem of like if people had to spell my last name to find my website, I'd have like 3 people find me. And I looked at it with a fun lens, and in a fun spirit, I solved the problem, notsalmon.com. And fun has actually been behind my brand. If you look at my work, you think she's not having any fun at all. She's a workaholic, but I'm actually having a lot of fun. I've written 31 books, 25 in 5 years. I've had 5 TV development deals, 2 film deals, 1 app, and 1 perfume. So, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. So my perfume, because a lot of people go, perfume? So my perfume happened in the spirit of fun. I was sitting around with a bunch of girlfriends, and we were joking about, I had this boyfriend, and I kept meeting guys. And while I had like a boyfriend, and I joked, you know, isn't that funny that the best way to meet a guy is to already have a guy? You know, the most attractive thing a woman could ever wear to appeal to a man is to wear another man's arm around her shoulder. So I started riffing on this, like how I wish that I could take these men, put them in Tupperware, store them in the freezer, and then defrost them later, you know, if I ever broke up with the guy that I was with, you know, riffing. And I said, there should, you know, when you're unavailable, it's as if you have a scent that you give off. There should be a perfume, unavailable. So as a joke, in the spirit of fun, I came up with this idea, and then I sold the perfume idea, unavailable. It's more than a perfume, it's a philosophy. And the perfume bottle comes hidden inside of a book, like a die cut, the way that some people hide like guns in a Bible, you know, I hear some people do. So it was all done in the spirit of fun, the power of fun. I've also have a new instant pep talk app, which is free. So I'm telling you all about it. Totally free, and because I was doing all these posters in the spirit of fun, I turned it into an app, and it's a fun app. Whoever said revenge is sweet never tasted the yumminess of forget about it, and it is what it is, but you have the power to turn it into an isn't so bad, or good looks fade, but a good heart keeps you beautiful forever. I've been doing these posters on Facebook, like sometimes 3 a day, writing and designing them, all in the spirit of fun. I have a book, How to Be Happy, Damn It, a book, The Bounce Back book, which has a red rubber cover on the outside, and I purposefully created the Bounce Back book to feel fun because it's a book with the resiliency psychology techniques. And when people are undergoing a challenge, the worst thing that can happen is you give them this like dry looking book, which like looking at it makes them only more depressed. So I like to make my brand fun. So I made it a red rubber cover, so if you're going through a challenging time and you get the Bounce Back book, in that spirit of fun, you're automatically going to feel better, and it's going to be more of a fun read, and then you're going to be able to learn the lessons and the tools in the book better, because fun actually makes you clearer about how to deal with your challenges. And I'm going to share with you some research studies that show that. So basically, I do self-help for people who wouldn't be caught dead doing self-help, because it's like fun. It's fun. Another book, Prince Harming Syndrome. So with a fun spirit, talking about the challenges of Prince Harmings. So I practice what I preach. Fun is my high-performance fuel. So it isn't, I am not, like everybody thinks, oh my gosh, she's so disciplined. She does so much. It isn't discipline that's keeping me working the long hours. It's that feeling of fun and coffee. So I call this my ice cream theory on productivity. Let's say I said to you, here's a pint of ice cream and a spoon, and I want this entire pint done in an hour. You better have this pint finished. I'll be back in an hour, and it better be done. And then I came back an hour later, and I said, okay, So did you finish that pint of ice cream that I assigned you? You know, chances are you would have finished it, right? Because it doesn't feel like work. You're having fun. Spooning and spooning and spooning the ice cream feels like fun. Well, when I look at my work through the lens of fun, I have fun spooning and spooning and spooning my projects. I'm in the fun zone. I'm in the fun zone. So what's the enemy of fun? Oh, when you're happy, you're more productive and have more energy, basically, to leap over obstacles in a single bound, and even multiple bounds, multiple obstacles. So what's the enemy of fun? Stress. So this is your brain on stress. You get all the static in your head. You can't think clearly. Studies show that when you're in a stress survival state, you can lose as much as 80% of your ability to think clearly. 80%. That's a pretty big amount. This is when you enter into fight or flight, when you're no longer using the smarter parts of your brain, like the neocortex and the other aspects of your brain which are smart. And they also, studies even say that if your heartbeat becomes higher than 100 beats per minute, you're not able to fully understand what somebody is saying or even to express yourself clearly. So if I do start to stumble or miss a slide, I guess it's because my heartbeat has risen above 100 beats per minute. So, stress can create a little something called presenteeism. Now, presenteeism looks a lot like the word absenteeism for a reason, because presenteeism is when you show up at work, you're present, but you might as well be absent, because you're distracted, you're stressed, you're apathetic, you're basically not engaged, you're not fully engaged in the working process. So a couple things create presenteeism. Overworking, stress either from work or stress from your personal troubles, people problems at the office, or lack of sleep, exhaustion, either working too hard or whatever is keeping you up late. And in fact, workaholism can be as bad for productivity as alcoholism. And I mean that literally, sort of. There was a study done by a Harvard expert on sleep deprivation, Charles Shesler. And Charles tested the blood of people that weren't sleeping enough. And he found that 24 hours without sleep or a week of sleeping 4 or 5 hours a night induces an impairment equivalent to a small amount of alcohol level in the blood. It's interesting. Now, I personally, I understand what Charles is talking about because I know what it's like to be punch drunk tired. Because I used to work in advertising, and I had this one boss who used to joke with us. He used to say, if you don't come in on Saturday, don't bother coming in on Sunday. Only he wasn't joking. Now, thankfully, at the same agency, I had an art director that I loved, Scott. And Scott used to bring me lots and lots of coffee. And he brought me coffee not only to keep me energized, but also because Scott wanted to motivate me to go to the restroom, purposefully. Because it seemed every time I went to the restroom, I'd come running back with this great idea. I'd come running back from the restroom. I cracked the code. I have the tagline. And this happened so much that Scott and I came up with a name for these epiphanies that I kept having in the restroom. We renamed them Epiphanies. Because I had these creative surges of genius so often in the restroom. And it took me a while to figure out why I'd suddenly become so smart in the restroom. And then I realized it was because I was so overworked, so overwhelmed, so much of the time, that the restroom was pretty much the only place that I could find to rest. It was literally the rest room. So I'd get in there, I'd sit down, finally able to relax, breathe, maybe close my eyes, breathe a little, voila, epiphany, you know? So in a way, I was doing a form of meditation in the restroom. Now, I don't know, how many of you, raise your hands, how many of you meditate presently? Are you a group of people that meditate? Not really, okay. Well, a lot of people have regular practices of meditation, and I am a big fan of meditation. I'm going to talk about that also a little bit later. And I believe meditation works because it kind of works like a snow globe. You know, one of those snow globes that you get and you shake it up, and there are all those little snowflakes everywhere when you shake them up, and you can't see the little pretty scene beneath? Well, that's what stress is like. When you're stressed out, those little flakes that happen in the snow globe, that's what kind of happens to your ability to see your life clearly. It kind of blocks it. And what meditation does is when you breathe and finally have time to relax, you literally do clear your mind. The little snowflakes of static and stress start to settle down, and that's why you can see what's going on in your life and see how to solve a problem more easily because of meditation. Now, many people do have regular meditation practices. I feel that fun is far more powerful. Fun is meditation on steroids, having a fun practice. And I believe we all need to take fun more seriously, and we need to have a daily practice of fun in our days. Researchers at University of Western Ontario, they studied the effects of fun by giving one group of people lots of fun, funny videos, like the ones Tripp is showing you, and some other ones with babies giggling and all different kinds of videos. And that group was lucky, they got the fun ones. And then another group, they gave sad music or sad news stories. And then they gave them all kinds of number puzzles and all kinds of puzzles to see which group would be better at solving the puzzles. And sure enough, the people watching the fun stuff were better at solving the puzzles, the number puzzles and all of those things. Meaning that all that time wasting fun stuff, it actually supercharges your brain and it supercharges your mood. Fun is definitely your high performance fuel. Now, I know this personally because after my son Ari was born, I have a little 3-year-old at home. This is him. Oh, thank you. Mwah, I love him. He has definitely supercharged my life with fun, but I've also had less time to work because I'm a mommy now, you know, and every day at 5:30, I have to stop no matter what. I have to stop what I'm doing and pick up my little guy from daycare. So I really have so much less time in the day to work. And I've actually never been more productive in my life. I get so much done. And I was trying to figure out why this would be less time, more done. And I realized it's because Ari and I have a fun practice that begins every morning. Every morning I wake up and I start my day by dancing with the gummy bear because my son's favorite video right now is Gummy Gangnam Style. It's the one with Gangnam Style, all these little gummy bears dancing to it, you know. But my son does it better. My son's much better at this. So we start off and we dance to Gummy Gangnam Style. And then maybe we do some Legos. If it's a nice day, we go to the park and we blow some bubbles. Or maybe we play with some Play-Doh. And then I drop them off at the daycare. And then I have to do my work. And I've already fallen behind because I'm dropping him off far much later in a day than I did, you know, before I was a mommy. So I literally have less hours in the day. But when I sit down to do work, after doing all of this fun stuff, I find I am supercharged with creativity. So much so, I started to write and design these posters that I've been posting on Facebook, and I would write and design like 3 of them a day. These are some of them. Be true to who you are and no, not everyone's gonna like you. And then again, there are some folks who don't even like cupcakes. True happiness isn't about the things you have, it's about the thoughts you have. It's called positive thinking, not positive thinking. So I would come up with these posters after playing with my son, and people would say, you're doing like 3 posters a day. Do you have a team of people you're working with? Do you have a staff? I'm like, no, I'm doing them all myself. And people were, really? Yeah, no, it's because I felt supercharged with fun after playing with my son. Here's another one. Never give up no matter how much you gotta be friggin' kidding me life throws at you. So it was the spirit of fun that got me doing this. And actually, I did so many posters on Facebook, and a lot of them went so viral that my people from my Facebook page were saying, turn it into an app, and that's why I turned my posters into this free app which is definitely a good fun tool. So I invite you all to look at it. It's called Instant Pep Talk. It has been hovering in the top 5 happiness apps. So this alone is a good fun tool for you. This is from my app. Every jerk has a silver lining. They come with lessons to teach. One of them, be nothing like this jerk. Or my more poignant side, often it's the deepest pain which empowers you to grow into your highest self. So I started to do a ton of posters, and it's because I was supercharged with fun. I believe that you don't need to be a workaholic to improve productivity. You need to be a funaholic. And when you're having fun at the office, everybody feels it. Your patients feel it. Anybody comes into your office feels it. There's something called emotional contagion, and people can feel your happy mood, just like people can feel your stress mood. So you want to be emotionally contagious with happiness. So that's why it's good to use fun as your high performance fuel. So get ready. I'm about to teach your old brain some new tricks on how to live in the fun zone at your office more often. First thing that I suggest is that you use your AM to aim you happily into your day, because that's what I was doing with my son Ari. I was starting off in a good mood. Some people like to go to the gym in the morning, definitely love that. Meditation, yoga, even some breathing exercises. And also watch where your thoughts are aimed. Because where your thoughts start off being aimed in the morning, that's the direction your life will go. So you want to make sure that you're aimed in a good thought direction, a happy thought direction. So with this in mind, I have a little mantra that I sometimes start off my morning thinking, and that is, something awesome is going to happen today. I can't wait to see what it will be. When you wake up and you're actually an awesome seeker, and you're looking for signs of awesome, that's what you will find. And in fact, I'm a big believer that a lot of what depression is about is people become what I call negative evidence collectors. So something bad happens in their day, or even an event that happens in their life, then they start to collect negative evidence that life is challenging, life is tough, people are all, negative views of people as well. And you can then downward spiral by becoming a negative evidence collector. So I want you all to become awesome collectors instead and look for signs of awesome. Now, even if you can't find a lot of awesome, I'm a big believer that there's at least one thing in every day that you're excited about, one thing. And it might be something that you're looking forward to after work, something during work. It could be, looking forward to going for a yummy lunch with your friends. But there's always one thing. And when you start off your day kind of excited about that one thing, even just asking yourself, okay, what's my one thing today? If you can't be like a total, complete, awesome seeker. Just a one awesome. Look for a one awesome, because there's always one thing. And with that being the focus, you wind up in a much more happy and fun mood for the day. Also, before you leave the house, I told you all that I love meditation. A lot of you said that you don't meditate. This is an easy shower power meditation that you could do, that you can multitask getting ready to go into the office while doing meditation. While you're in the shower, you envision whatever's troubling you washing down the drain. Regrets, fears, anger, resentment. Just imagine yourself soaping it off and washing down the drain. It's a really nice way to start the morning to get you into the fun zone. Another little tool that I've used is whatever I was working on the day before, I always stop at a place of fun. I stop. How they say you should leave a party while you're still having fun. You should leave your work while you're still having fun. That way you get excited to go into the office. There's something fun that you're looking forward to, something good. So when you end your day, leave it at a place where you're actually going to be looking forward to going into the office. I also believe there are also very challenging aspects of your job, and that my way of dealing with these is I do the fun thing first, but then while I'm on my little fun high, my little fun buzz, while my energy is still good, then I make sure to the next thing that I do is I tackle the worst part of what I need to do, the thing that I'm dreading. Because you should do the thing that you're dreading right after the fun thing and first thing while your energy is still high, because it will be harder to do that worst thing later in the day when you're more exhausted. So it's sort of, I call it my lobster new job theory, where you know, you eat how do you eat the lobster? Do you eat the good stuff right away, or do you save it for later? So you save the good stuff a little bit for later as your reward for finishing off the more challenging stuff. A lot of procrastination comes from being overwhelmed. So what I suggest you do is you schedule a dreaded project in small chunks. Because if you have a project that's really big, it feels like this mountain that you have to climb, a mountain of paperwork. And there's a theory called Kaizen, which means small changes over time lead to big changes over time. Instead of just trying to tackle the whole mountain, just do like little 15-minute increments, 20-minute, tell yourself even that, you know, it's okay that I just do it for 15 minutes. I believe it's easier to be a saint for 15 minutes than for a full hour. So if it's something challenging, 15 minutes of sainthood doing it is much easier than an hour. This also works with going to the gym. If you say, you know what, I'm going to go to the gym, 15 minutes on, you know, the bicycle, or 15 minutes on the Stairmaster. And then what's really interesting is once you're there and you're starting to do it, sometimes you wind up wanting to push past the 15-minute increment. But you've gotten yourself there because it's not as overwhelming, thinking, again, that there's a mountain of work, literally, overwhelming, mountain of work, not fun. Taking it little steps at a time, I don't know, the opposite of overwhelming is not, you know, this is the nice version, whelming. It's fun, you know, when you take it small steps at a time and you try to enjoy the process. This is a mantra that I tell myself if I do feel like I have a very challenging project that I need to do, or a challenging situation. I tell myself that I know I have it within me to get to where I want to be. So I wanted to share that mantra with you. I know I have it within me now to get me to where I want to be later, when something just feels very, very challenging. Another way to get yourself back into the fun zone, if you've fallen out of the fun zone, is to remind yourself that what you do matters, that you are really helping people. And when people feel like they have meaning and purpose in their life, especially around a job, then they're happier in general, and then they're happier to do their job because they actually don't see it as a job, they see it as a calling when they feel like what they do matters. And actually, this is shown up in research studies that was done by somebody who has an even harder to pronounce last name than mine, so I'll just call her Amy. And Amy found that people that described their job as a calling instead of a job worked more hours, missed less work, and reported higher life satisfaction in general. And what was interesting in this study that Amy did was some of these people that described their job as a calling, they didn't have glamorous jobs per se. Some of them were actually janitors in this study, but the janitors could see how what they did matter, that they were keeping the organization organized. And this meaning and purpose made them feel like they had a calling and made them excited to go into the office. Another way to get yourself back to feeling like what you do matters is to remind yourself of why you wanted to do what you do today, to get back into the honeymoon memories of your work, you know, when you decided to do what you do right now, and remember why you chose it. Go back to that, even have conversations about that, so you can return to your honeymoon feelings about what you do. Big tool for having fun in the office is to enjoy the people that you work with. So many studies support this. Tom Rath of Gallup did a whole research project on this, and these are a couple of statistics that he found. People who have a best friend at work are 7 times more likely to be engaged in their job. They get more done in less time. They also have more engaged customers. Again, that emotional contagion, people can feel it. And they're more likely to innovate and share new ideas. Also, people with at least 3 close friends at work were 96% more likely to be extremely satisfied with their lives. So this is good. This is why it's good to find people that you like at the office and go out to lunch with them, be social. And if there are people that kind of stress you out, then I suggest that you have what I call a compliment sandwich with them. And what do I mean by that? I mean trying to get to why there's stress between you in a way that doesn't escalate it, because these are courageous dialogues where you bring up something that's bugging you with somebody at the office. But it's good to try to diffuse wherever that tension is coming from. So if there's somebody that's creating some stress or tension, I suggest you share a compliment sandwich, and this begins by complimenting them first, saying some good things that you like about them, why you like them, so the person doesn't feel attacked, because when people feel attacked, things can escalate. And studies have shown that John Gottman, who runs the Gottman Institute, says that he can predict how a conversation will go by like the first 30 seconds of it, because that's the direction that it will go. So if the person starts off feeling like you're attacking them, it's just going to go there. Sort of like that, when I talked about starting your day being the trajectory. Well, how you start a conversation is the trajectory too. So start off with a compliment, even start off saying a mutual goal. So you can both be nodding, yes, I want that too. You know, I'd like to try to relieve some of the stress here. I want to, you know, see how we can go about that. So you get like the head nodding, yes, you both want that, a shared goal. And then in the middle, you throw in the thing that's bothering you, and you try not to use words that escalate it. And then quickly after, you slap on the bottom piece of bread, which is another compliment, saying, you know, because I know there's so many, you know, and then you name all the good things, and again, your mutual goal. So things do not escalate. So if there's somebody that you're having some tension with, share a compliment sandwich with them. Another good tool for getting into the fun zone is to walk yourself out of a bad mood. And so many studies show that even just a 10-minute walk can change your brain chemistry. So if you're feeling a little bit challenged, if there's a way you can, you know, go for a walk, whether it be during lunch or walk more to the office or walk home, or just add walking into your day more. There's been so many studies recently how much we've become a sitting culture. And 90% of our leisure time is spent sitting. It's been reported. And a doctor at Ohio State University has called sitting the new smoking, because it's also been shown to be bad for us physically as well as draining for us emotionally. So this is why it's good to walk yourself out of a bad mood. Another good tool to get yourself into the fun zone is to create what I call fun shui. Make sure your office feels like a fun place to work. This is the Google office. They have major feng shui. Now, if it's not in your budget to put a gigantic, you know, sliding board into your office, you can still find some inexpensive ways to create feng shui. You know, put up artwork that you like. You could create these little fun certificates. I made this one, actually, most organized desk. But you could buy little plain certificates and write in funny things for people at your office, the awards that they win. That will increase your friendship. Put them up, keep changing them, you know, have different challenges. Make it a fun little game to figure out which certificate you're going to give out next. In general, get trigger happy. Post funny cartoons, post things that remind you of fun times, things that get you back into the fun zone. You know, get trigger happy, things that trigger happiness. Put out Play-Doh on your desk. It's better than a stress ball, because you can make little giraffes and everything out of it, but still like you're getting your little stress out on them. Or use colorful markers to write things, you know, so it gets you in a fun spirit. Now, having fun helps you to sharpen your saw. This is a concept that came from one of my more favorite writers, Steve Covey, who wrote The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Have any of you read that book? Okay, good. Yeah. I love Steve Covey, and in his book, he gave a little story of this guy who's trying to saw down a tree. And his buddy comes over and says, "Hey, what you doing?" He says, "Can't talk now. Can't talk. I'm trying to saw down the tree." So his buddy says, "You know the blade on your saw looks very dull. If you stop to sharpen the saw, you could saw down the tree faster and more effectively. And the guy who's sawing says, can't talk, can't take time to sharpen the saw, gotta saw down the tree, you know. So basically, fun is your saw sharpener. Fun literally keeps you feeling sharp. So you can do your work faster, better, smarter, more productively, and more happily, you know. For me, a good fun sharpening tool is going for a pedicure. And pedicures are a good way. You could do this during lunch maybe if you have time with somebody from the office. You sit next to each other in the little pedicure chair. I've actually done meetings with people where we go, let's go get a pedicure together. And then we sit next to each other and we talk about, you know, whatever, as long as we're not talking about something top secret, you know. Now, an interesting study, if you give somebody a gift before they do something, they actually are more, again, sharper at doing it. So you can give yourself, you can pre-reward yourself for something that's a challenging activity instead of giving it to yourself afterwards as an appreciation. Here's the study. It was done with a group of radiologists. One group were lucky, they got the gift, and the other group got bupkis, which is sort of like New York for saying Zippo. And the group who received the gift made faster and more accurate diagnoses. And the researchers believed it was because the gift elevated their moods, which then elevated their clarity, elevated their intelligence, elevated their productivity. So I have an idea for all of you. It might be a good idea to tell your patients maybe that if they're going in for like a root canal or something, they might want to bring a small gift to the dentist ahead of time. So he makes sure that he does his most accurate root canal. Kidding, sort of kidding. Anyway, another way to get into the fun zone, collect fun zone memories, times that you had fun. So if you're not into meditation, just even sitting and reminding yourself of a fun time with your eyes closed, remembering it. I'm a little bit goofy. I sometimes save like voicemails that made me happy or texts that made me happy. If I'm having a stressed out day, I like listen to the voicemail that made me happy or reread the text that made me happy. You know, it helps to get you back into the fun zone. Another thing, if I'm having a challenge, I call myself the Problemmeister. I'm big on neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, and words can change our energy. And when I start to think of myself as the Problemmeister, then I get more excited about solving my problem. I'm in the fun zone solving my problem. You know, I am the Problemmeister. I never met a problem I couldn't solve. You know, I kind of joke with myself, about this, and it changes my energy. Another thing about problems is you have to commit to 20% on the problem, 80% on the solution. It's a very important mathematical formula. Now, those were the big problems. If you're having small problems in the day, again, I'm big on neuro-linguistic programming, so I've renamed the small problems the pooper-scooper factor. Everything has a pooper-scooper factor. Every work, even glamorous movie stars have the pooper-scooper factor. I guess the paparazzi are their pooper-scooper factor, but we all have pooper-scooper factors in our life. And I call it this because it's sort of like, let's say you get a dog, you're all excited, oh yay, unconditional love, you know, lots of, you know, licks and wagging and hugging and all of this, and then you realize, oh wait, I have to walk this dog. There's a pooper-scooper factor. So everything has it. So whenever you face something that's a little annoyance, you know, just, it's the pooper-scooper factor, you know, and it makes you laugh and deal with it better. Another neuro-linguistic programming tool that I have to get myself to view challenges a little bit, you know, more happily through the lens of fun is that I came up with this word blessing. And it's when you're able to view painful lessons as blessings. In other words, a blessing is what happens when you see the blessing in the lesson that the challenge taught you. So if something's happening in your life, you go, oh, I'm having a blessing. So it helps you to refocus. Basically, what it gets you to do is to look for the good and the bad, the happy and the sad, the gain and your pain, and focus on what makes you grateful, not hateful. Again, if you're having problems and challenges at the office, another neuro-linguistic programming tool that I have is I think of them as slices. Because sometimes when something challenging happens, we can't see clearly and we become so overwhelmed that we don't realize that this challenge is just a little part of our life. It's a slice of our life. It isn't our whole life. The part cannot be greater than the whole. So any of the challenges that you have in your life, personally or professionally, they're just life slices. The part cannot be greater than the whole. So try to keep things in perspective, and renaming them that neuro-linguistic programming helps you to get refocused, keep things in perspective. If there's a regret, something that already happened last week, last month, but you keep revisiting it. My little neuro-linguistic programming mantra that I tell myself to get myself to snap out of it is coulda, woulda, shoulda, shoulda, uppa. You can't change the past, So instead of focusing on the past, don't blame your past, look at what you can do now. 20% on the problem, 80% on the solution, shoulda, woulda, coulda, shoulda, uppa. I also think of myself as negative thought intolerant. If something, is really troubling me and I'm wandering back to negative thoughts. How many of you out here think of yourself as lactose intolerant? Anybody? Yeah, okay, yeah. So if you're lactose intolerant, you have the discipline to know, no, I can't have anything with dairy in it because it makes me feel yucky. Well, guess what? All of you are negative thought intolerant because thinking negative thoughts just makes you feel yucky. So just tell yourself, if you start to feel yourself on a negative thought rampage, no. I'm negative thought intolerant. I can't think this thought. And it kind of gets you to laugh a little bit about yourself, loosens your ego a little bit. And again, it's an NLP. It kind of gets you to bring a little fun energy to a challenging time. Now, I am a big fan of meditation, so of course I'm going to have to assign that to you as one of your fun tools. Just breathing, taking time to breathe. Sitting, breathing with your eyes closed. If you don't want to go the full gamut of meditation, your soul will thank you. One thing to make sure is if you do find yourself in a challenging mood, not to do anything permanently stupid during a temporary bad mood. And then I also list here some of the things that can lead to a temporary bad mood. Angry, stressed, scared, tired, or hungry. So sometimes all you just have to do is grab a yogurt and you'll snap out of it. But be careful not to be reactive during one of these times, to press that pause button. I'm also a big believer that you shouldn't just write a to-do list, you should write a to-be list. And what I mean by that is we walk around thinking, I deserve a great job, I deserve a great relationship, but are you being who you need to be to have a great job or a great relationship? Are you being organized, disciplined, kind, a good listener? So every morning when you write your to-do list, write your to-be list and ask yourself, who do I need to become to get everything I want in my life? Who do I need to become to make this job feel as fun and happy as possible? You also, to juggle a lot, you need a balance of work, love, family, friends, health, spirit, and newness. So if you're working all the time, make sure you incorporate some of these other things. Dorothy never said there's no place like office. Right? You need to create balance in your life. Another tool, give yourself a hug in the middle of the day. In fact, give yourself a hug now. Come on, it feels good. Doesn't that feel good? Right? So that's a good, 20-second fun energizer, right? And then end your day appreciating what made you feel happy, excited, proud. End your day reminding yourself of all the little awesome moments that you had. In the same way people prioritize a daily meditation, it's time to prioritize a daily practice of fun. Now, there's a thick line between knowing and doing, and a lot of you know that you should be doing these tools, but are you really going to do it? So I want to give you a story about Steve and Dr. Immortality. Steve heard about this doctor who knew the secret of immortality, so Steve thought that was pretty good. So he decided that he was going to go visit the doctor who lived in the Himalayas. So he hopped on an airplane, went to the Himalayas, got out, hailed a taxi, got in, said to the taxi driver, please take me to Dr. Immortality. He's on the top of Immortality Hill. The taxi driver starts to laugh. So Steve says, why are you laughing? And the taxi driver said, because Dr. Immortality is dead. And Steve's like, oh, why didn't I get like a non-stop flight? Why did I have to get the one with 3 stops? I had been here earlier. I could have talked to Dr. Immortality. And the taxi driver laughs again and says, Steve, I don't know how he knew Steve's name, but he says, Steve, Dr. Immortality is dead. Obviously, this guy doesn't know anything about immortality. And now it was Steve's turn to laugh. And he said, ha, ha, ha. You know what? You can know something, but not actually apply the skills. Dr. Immortality might have known everything about immortality, but just not applied them. So you might know everything you need to do to be happy at work, be productive at work, but are you going to apply them? Most people are about as happy as they make up their minds to be. I hope you make up your mind. And I want you to write to me. I want you to inspire you to do your fun activities. I want you to write to me about something that you did, that new habit that you changed, at my website, notsalmon.com, and I will feature your story in my blog. I will feature you. My blog goes up to Facebook, where I have 120,000 Facebook fans. So I want you to write your story of fun to me. And I also want you to check out my fun, free app, Instant Pep Talk. Lots of posters, your mission, be so busy loving your life, you have no time for hate, regret, or fear. Again, write to me at notsalmon.com. And I really do hope that you're ready to make some change.